Good morning. My name is Sue Penny. I am a member of this wonderful Unitarian Universalist congregation of the South Fork, and I'd like to welcome everyone here. We affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every being. We honor our interdependence with all life on this planet and the earth itself. We honor each person's search for truth and meaning. Encourage peace, compassion, equity, and justice for all. We remember the Native Americans pushed off this land by European farmers, and we remember the people captured in Africa, brought in chains to work this land, and then released to a freedom haunted with terror and injustice. We are committed to healing the pain of our past and our present. In our actions outside of these walls, we help those in need, the homeless, the hungry, the marginalized, recognizing that the whole world is our neighbor, who we are called to love. Here in our worship together, the rituals we practice and the songs we sing elevate these commitments and bind us emotionally as a community. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your name for the sacred, you are welcome to bring your full self here. The Reverend Kimberly Johnson is in the house. She's in the back of the room, and Kimberly offers more than half of our services, and the others are created with her guidance by the worship team. And we are so happy to have the return of Ned Wight. Yay. We've returned to clapping here. So Ned was raised by a Unitarian father and an Episcopalian mother, grew up in Battle Creek, Michigan and Gresham, Oregon. I figure we'll give a little more of Ned's background than usual. He spent a whole career in the Public Affairs Department of the Harvard Community Health Plan, and then got the call in 1988, went to Harvard Divinity School. And after graduating and being ordinated and all, he served the UU congregation in Belmont, Massachusetts, and La Mesa, California. There, he played an active leadership role in the Interfaith Committee for Worker Justice of San Diego. We probably know Ned best with his 10 years on the VEACH, running the VEACH program out of Shelter Rock. If you don't know about that, check in with us afterwards. Really important grant-making program. And then served as interim minister for a while at Shelter Rock and is now retired. I clarified this. He is retired. He has been for 4 years, but he still will do this. So we're delighted. Thank you, Ned, for being here. Great. Oh, and board chair at UUS Service Committee, which, okay. So for those on Zoom, Kimberly is on the board of UUSC. Also, Ned just retired. Kimberly. So those on Zoom, she endeavors to follow Ned wherever he goes. So thank you. This is a great give and take. I love it. Now, I have no announcements coming up. I think a lot of things happened last week. I'm not aware of anything to announce this morning. So please connect with the events in the e-bulletin and the calendar on the website if you'd like. I don't see any visitors, so oh, maybe one. Yes, go ahead, Patience. Introduce a visitor. Wow. Okay. Buzzy. Okay, so Patience just introduced her granddaughter. Thank you for coming, Buzzy. I hope you like it. So we have returned to a ritual we used to have pre-COVID of greeting people next to you, maybe someone you haven't spoken to yet this morning. We'll make it brief and I'll dong when time's up. I thought you were going to come up when I played it first piece. That's why it's fun. Our theme for this month is play. And I love a guest minister who's willing to work with the theme of the month and run with it. And Ned has done that. So I hope you enjoy our playful service. And we begin with these opening words by Reinhold Niebuhr. Humor is, in fact, a prelude to faith, and laughter is the beginning of prayer. Laughter is swallowed up in prayer, and humor is fulfilled by faith. Ned will read the words for our chalice light.
Words of Thich Nhat Hanh. Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion. Our opening hymn is one written by Grace Lewis McLaren, who is a member of the congregation out in California, where I met her. This is something she wanted to do something that would engage Unitarian Universalists in being a little bit more active than we often are when we sing our hymns. So she wrote this as if it were an Eastern European folk dance. And the verses go kind of slow and plodding. And then when you get to the refrain, it goes, yeah, yeah, yes, I am. I'm a Unitarian. Yeah, yeah, yes, I am. You can count on me. Hey. So that's your job in this, is to be earnest with the verses and playful with the refrain. So I'm going to ask Abby to play it through once so you get a sense of what the melody is. And then you might want to stand up as you're able, and we'll attempt this together, entering into it in the spirit of fun and play. And when we get to the very end, we're going to repeat the refrain twice. And lots of energy here. Okay, are we ready? This song is yes, I am. You can count on me. Hey, when it comes to questioning, if you reach me, and I will tell you, yes, I am. You can count on me. Hey, when there is justice when you know my sensitive my manner, yeah, and I will yeah, and you can count on me. Policy, smile, and meeting to the ending. I will tell you, yes, you can count on me. Hey, yes, I can. I'm the Unitarian. Yes, you can count on me. Hey. Well done. Very well done. Our reading is from some remarks on humor by writer and humorist E.B. White. One of the things commonly said about humorists is that they are really very sad people, clowns with a breaking heart. There is some truth in it, but it is badly stated. It would be more accurate, I think, to say that there is a deep vein of melancholy running through everyone's life, and that the humorist, perhaps more sensible of it than some others, compensates for it actively and positively. Humorists fatten on trouble. They've always made trouble pay. They struggle along with the goodwill and endure pain cheerfully, knowing how well it will serve them in the great by and by. You find them wrestling with foreign languages, fighting folding ironing boards and swollen drain pipes. They pour out their sorrows profitably in a form that is not quite fiction, nor quite fact either. Beneath the sparkling surface of these dilemmas flows the strong tide of human woe. Practically everyone has their up moments and their down moments, and you certainly don't have to be a humorist to taste the sadness of situation and mood. But there's often a rather fine line between laughing and crying, and if a humorous piece of writing brings a person to the point where their emotional responses are untrustworthy and seem likely to break over into the opposite realm, it is because humor, like poetry, has an extra content. It plays close to the big hot fire, which is truth. And sometimes the reader feels the heat. May your roots grow deep. May the branches spread for you. May you find the world to be a wonderful place and leave it better for those who follow.
We support the work of this congregation through the gift of our time, our talents, and treasure. There will be 2 baskets going around, one to support the work within these walls, and the other outside of these walls, the Helping Hand Fund, which gives money to the minister's discretionary fund, as well as other folks in need outside of these walls. And we're going to play a little bit as we do this. You each have a block at your place, and one by one, in whatever order you feel like, we're going to create something out of blocks on the table up front. So we haven't done this in a while, and I think it's always fun to see what a group of people can create. And while we're doing this, Abby will be accompanying us with something good. Wow, that's so cool. I love the idea that any one piece is just sort of insignificant, but you put it all together and it's something beautiful. So thank you for playing. This is a time when the child care kicks in if we needed to, and I'm not sure, Buzzy, you want to stay with us or you want to go? Your choice. Why don't we sing and then Buzzy can decide what she's going to do. All right. You might enjoy being up here. You're welcome to stay up here. Yeah. Okay. It's okay. As we enter into this prayerful moment, we set aside the mundane as we share the deep joys, sorrows of our lives. You may speak as you feel so moved. And in the meeting house, you can come up to this microphone so that those on Zoom can hear. And those online can let us know if they'd like to speak.
Let's enter into a time of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life, we bring to this familiar place today our life metaphors, some old and tired, others fresh and new. For some of us right now, life is a zoo. We live amidst the chaos of too many commitments, too much clutter, too many things on our minds, too many appointments on our calendars. The incessant comings and goings, the logistics that even computer scheduling can't handle wear us down. Let us take time in silence to remember those who may feel trapped. Enable us to care for ourselves and for one another, and to allow ourselves sometimes to risk saying no. For some of us right now, life is a struggle. We live amidst economic change where many are experiencing the dislocation of job transitions or financial uncertainty. We live amidst the infirmities of our all too human bodies, experiencing our own illness or feeling the dis-ease of illness in others. Let us take time in silence to remember those who are caught in these struggles. Give all of us compassionate hearts and strength to endure. For some of us right now, life is a bad dream. We live amidst daily news reports of unspeakable suffering. We remember those contending with natural disasters, those coming to terms with acts of terrorism, those fleeing violence around the world, those who are caught in the tragedy of war. Let us take time in silence to remember those who wait and pray for a way out of these terrible dreams. Give us the courage not to deny human suffering, but to respond by helping in whatever ways we can. For some of us right now, life is a carnival. There's much in life to celebrate. There is good news as well as bad. May all of us find opportunities to rejoice over good news in our own lives today and every day. Oh God, we bring ourselves and our life metaphors to this familiar place today. May we continue to discover through this community the power to transform the metaphors that diminish our vitality and to affirm those that enrich it. So may it always be. Shalom. Amen. Today, we ask the question, what makes God laugh? Far be it from me to speak on God's behalf. Instead, I turn to a rare store of correspondence between various human beings and God relative to this very question. Let God or the goddess speak for him or herself. The first letter, based on Genesis 3, Pam and Carl Wittenberg.
Dear Yahweh, enough is enough. Adam and I have put up with your teasing, stalking, and taunting as long as we could, but we've reached our limit. The garden was very nice and we enjoyed our stay, but I have to admit, now that we're out, it was a bit limiting, especially after that unfortunate serpent incident. We really didn't mean any harm by it. After all, it was you who created us to be wise, to use our minds and imaginations. Even our names are puns intended to delight the mind. Adam, from Adama, the word for ground or earth. Eva, from hay, the word for life suitable enough, given our origins and our destiny.
Here, would you take us back, please? Oh, God. It is obvious to both of us from looking carefully at what you've created, the two of us, not to mention all the wild and crazy plants and animals in the garden, that you have a wonderfully fertile imagination and a keen sense of humor. But why all this Sturm und Drang about a minor infraction of the rules? Taking the tiniest bite of so-called forbidden fruit, can't take a joke? We resent being banished from the garden. If you'd wanted us out, I'm sure you could have persuaded us to leave on our own by framing the advantages in a more positive way. Irately yours, Adam
And Eve.
Dear Adam and Eve, I received your most recent letter and read it with great interest. I think it defines a whole new human attitude that I've decided to call chutzpah. I won't try to explain it now. Someday I'm sure you or your descendants will catch the drift of what it signifies. Of course I can take a joke. You're quite right when you describe my delight in the crazy quilt of creation. And I very much enjoyed watching the two of you make discoveries and grow in wisdom and stature and favor with one another. I will never recall without smiling that first instance of what I've come to know as buck passing, the very human tendency to point the finger of blame at someone else. Remember? It happened when I asked Adam who told him he was naked and if he'd eaten the forbidden fruit, and he said, Eve gave it to me. And when I asked Eve, she did the same thing. The serpent tricked me. Sure, it was a tense moment, but there was something touching and even humorous about it too. I guess at first I didn't quite trust the two of you with that powerful knowledge of the difference between good and evil. Now, of course, it's out of my hands. You have it anyway. Good luck with it. I'm confident you'll use it wisely in the long run. Keep me apprised of your progress. I like adventure stories very much, and yours promises to be one of the most riveting with lots of amusing moments. I look forward to seeing how things turn out. Yours, Yahweh. The second letter, based on Genesis 17 and 18, Donna Sutton.
Dear Yahweh, Sarah here, writing you this letter by way of apology for greeting your surprising news with laughter. As you know, I'm no longer a young woman. As a matter of fact, I'm over 90, far too old to bear children. I mean, when my husband Abraham came in with these strangers and one of them told me he'd be coming back to confirm I'd be giving birth to a son, it was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. And I do mean ridiculous, meriting ridicule, truly laughable. Of course, I'd no idea the guy was one of your messengers, and I was flustered. So of course, I denied that I'd laughed. So now I'm writing to you directly to set the record straight. I did laugh, and you would have too, if you'd been in my place. Yours truly, Sarah. P.S. Thanks for the surprise. I like the name Isaac. He laughs. Was it your idea? It'll always remind me of your tendency to pull off the unexpected.
Dear Sarah, no apology necessary. I don't blame you for being surprised. It's one of my rules of thumb that a person should never be too sure that something can't happen. The world is full of surprises, and life's richer if you're able to stay open to unexpected possibilities. Yours, Yahweh. P.S. I had help coming up with the name Isaac. As you may suspect, some of my best work is collaborative. The third letter, based on the book of Jonah, Ken Dorff.
Dear Yahweh, this is to notify you that Jonah, son of Amittai, is preparing to bring suit against you under the ancient Near Eastern Occupational Health and Safety Act for harassment and wrongful injury sustained on an ill-conceived and poorly supervised prophetic mission to the city of Nineveh. Charges include 1, hurling a great wind upon the sea such that the undersigned ship threatened to break up. 2, causing a large fish to swallow Jonah up and keep him confined in very close and unpleasant quarters for 3 days and 3 nights. 3, releasing Jonah only after he had endured terrible internal suffering and cried out in prayerful distress. 4, insisting that he go to Nineveh against his will. 5, when the city actually repented and you spared it, making Jonah the butt of your humor, taunting him when he sat comfortably under a shady bush, then causing the bush to wither and sending down a hot wind as a lesson about the contrast between his indifference and your compassion toward the people of Nineveh. We believe your behavior to have been inappropriate and illegal under this act, and we look forward to seeing you in court. Litigiously, Torah Bar Nun, Esquire.
Dear Mr. Bar-Nun, I take no delight in your accusatory letter, which misses the main point of the Jonah incident to which you refer, namely that Jonah, whom I commissioned to go to Nineveh, boarded a ship bound for Tarshish, which is in precisely the opposite direction. I'm sure the belly of the fish was no bed of roses, but Jonah did survive, and because he finally completed his mission, so did more than 120,000 people who do not know their right hand from their left, and also many animals. This was no small feat. I take great delight in those who have the courage to open up their ears to hear and their hearts to trust the power of mercy and love, and those who have the humility sometimes to put their personal agendas aside for the common good. Knowing the Chief Justice of the universe as I do, you might want to consider attempting to reach an out-of-court settlement. I think you'll find the Chief Justice receptive. Compassionately, Yahweh. The fourth letter, based on the Song of Songs. Sue Penny.
I'm here.
Oh,
It's Eva.
excellent, Eva. Good. Thank you. Eva Roberts Vasquez.
Dear Yahweh, I picked up my daughter's Bible recently and was shocked and dismayed to read the following passages in the so-called Song of Solomon. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Sustain me with raisins, refresh me with apples, for I am faint with love. Oh, that his left hand were under my head, and that his right hand embraced me. How beautiful you are, my love, how very beautiful. Your lips are like a crimson thread, and your mouth is lovely, and your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle that feed among the lilies. Eat, friends, drink, and be drunk with love. Oh, there's more, but much, much more, but it offends my sensibilities to continue. Surely this is enough to give you the gist. I am appalled by this filth and can scarcely conceive how such language ever found its way into sacred scripture. I trust that something will be done to remove these sentiments from this book at the earliest opportunity, lest they corrupt the delicate and impressionable minds of our youth, concerned and scandalized on the South Fork.
Dear concerned and scandalized, I beg to differ with your assessment about this wonderful, rhapsodic, poetic book extolling the pleasures of human love and sexuality. It was my intent that love and sex be intensely pleasurable. Why else would human bodies have the capacity for such strong sexual feeling? Of course, there are contexts of relationship in which such feelings are going to find their most fulfilling expression, but those contexts are as diverse as our other aspects of creation. Sexuality is a strange and wonderful human gift, more to be experienced in sensation and relationship and celebrated in poetry and song than to be suppressed in criticism and fear. Would it not be better to share with your daughter the wonder and excitement of sexual discovery, as well as informing her of its risks and cautions, so that she will be able to enter into her sexual maturity responsibly and joyfully? Human sexuality is a constant source of joy to me. It turned out much stranger and much more interesting than I originally anticipated. Joyfully yours, the Supreme Lover. The fifth letter, based on Matthew, Ken Martin.
Dear Heavenly Father, just a brief note to update you on my ministry. I've been a bit discouraged lately because the people just don't seem to get what I've been saying. I tell stories. I even use jokes, puns, like the one I used to tell my disciple Peter, that a church will be built on him as Petra, the Greek word for rock, or gross exaggeration, like asking them how they can say to one another, let me take the speck out of your eye while the log is in your own eye. Or handling those tricky Pharisees who tried to trip me up by asking me if it's lawful to pay taxes to the Roman emperor. Throwing a trick question back in their faces, give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's. I thought a little wit would help in my ministry, but now I'm not so sure. Any advice?
Dear Jesus, keep up the good work. Folks may not get the humor right away, but give them time. I'm confident they'll eventually discover that even the most serious things are not incompatible with wit, humor, and a light touch. Yours, H.F. P.S. I'm glad you're taking some time to go to weddings and dinner parties now and then. You need to find time to relax, laugh, and enjoy life too. The sixth letter, Celia Josephson.
Dear author of Universal Truth, as the first woman to be ordained to the ministry by an American denomination 11 years ago, I've taken it upon myself to become a consistent advocate of education for women. In this sense, I take exception to St. Paul or any other who would argue for the subordination of women in the church or elsewhere. Let me explain my reasoning. If boys, after leaving school, went home to be supported and devoted themselves to needlework and novels, we should look for no noble manhood, and only when girls cease to do this and seek some business of life whereby to independently support themselves and benefit society, can we look for the truest womanhood. But, says some objector, women will no longer be angels when brought in contact with the rude world. Alas, the United States of America in 1874
is not a favorable place for angels, nor are the men of the 19th century suitable companions for them. And this is the great argument in favor of the enfranchisement of women. It is not so much the repealing of wicked laws or the establishment of justice, although these are important, as it is that women should gain that self-respect and independence which is the characteristic of the free. Not till women share in the responsibilities and enjoy the privileges of the enfranchised citizen can it be expected that they will gain the highest excellence. I am confident that my views are in accord with your own. Faithfully yours, the Reverend Olympia Brown.
Dear Reverend Brown, I take great delight in continuing revelation, the discovery and assertion of new insights with new perceptions of truth in new times, and in the passionate spirit with which persons such as yourself communicate their insights to the wider world. May prophetic voices such as yours ring forth in every generation, marking an ever-widening circle of truth. Gratefully yours, author of Universal Truth. The seventh letter, Kimberly Quinn Johnson.
To whom it may concern. Here's my credo. All I really need to know about how to live and what to do and how to be, I learned in kindergarten. Wisdom was not at the top of the graduate school mountain, but there in the sand pile at the Sunday school. These are the things I learned. Share everything. Play fair. Don't hit people. Put things back where you found them. Clean up your own mess. Don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat. Flush. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some, and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work. Every day some. Take a nap every afternoon. When you go out into the world, watch out for traffic. Hold hands and stick together. Be aware of wonder. Remember the little seed in the styrofoam cup? The roots go down and the plants go up, and nobody really knows how or why. But we are all like that. Goldfish and hamsters and white mice, and even the little seed in the styrofoam cup, they all die, and so do we. And then remember the Dick and Jane books and the first word you learned, the biggest word of all, look. I know you've probably heard this 1,000 times before, but it doesn't hurt to hear it again. Yours, Robert Fulgham.
Dear Fulgham, sometimes simple truths are the most powerful. Thanks for your delightful reminder of this fundamental fact. It gave me great joy. Yours, the Supreme One whom it concerns. The eighth letter. Dear God, higher power, mystery, source of all, nameless one. I'm writing you this letter of inquiry on behalf of the diverse, inquisitive congregation here on the South Fork of Long Island and myself. As you know from my writing and thinking and behavior over at least the past 35 years, I believe that humor is utterly consistent with spiritual depth and is one expression of truth. I'm just writing to ask if you still find occasions for laughter in human foibles like chutzpah and buck passing. Stories about surprises and unexpected outcomes. Those who have the courage to open their ears to hear and their hearts to trust the power of mercy and love. Those who have the humility sometimes to put their personal agendas aside for the common good. Human sexuality, even serious things. Weddings and parties where you can relax and enjoy life. Continuing revelation, the passionate spirit of inquiry, simple truths. If we're supposedly created in your image, it makes sense that you would find occasions for laughter in all of these human realities, among others too numerous to mention, for that's where we find occasions for laughter too. I look forward to hearing from you when you have a chance. Keep smiling and we will too. Cordially, Ned. P.S. Please check in with Kimberly and these folks from time to time to make sure there are lots of occasions for play and laughter. Thanks. Our closing hymn is number 51 in the gray hymnal, Lady of the Seasons Laughter. And you'll notice there's a little bit of a interlude that the piano has between each verse that gives you a chance to regather your thoughts. So don't panic. It'll be clear when you need to come in again. So it's number 51, Lady of the Seasons Laughter. Do you want to play it through once just to get a sense of how it goes? Here's the little interlude. This is the interlude. You don't sing yet, right? That's okay. Now we begin. Lady of the seasons laughter, and in here when your spirits clear, all the sin your steady mercy, Lady of so the evening starlight and stay here on often and pray for the sin your steady mercy,
Lots of papers. Here we go. If you are joining us on Zoom, this room will remain open for a few minutes after our service concludes for informal conversation. If you are joining us in the meeting house, we invite you to join us for light refreshments and fellowship. Thanks today's hospitality volunteer, John Andrews. And please, if you're visiting, sign the guest book so you can get our e-bulletin, and you can do it online in the chat. And we also want to thank today's greeter, Ingrid Krinke. And we hope you'll join us next week. Our worship leader is Ken Ettlinger, and he's going to be accompanied by Stephanie Joyce, a local artist, and Dan Bailey will be here doing his drumming. So it will be a lot of time to play. If you are visiting for the first time or the 50th time, if you are in agreement with our values, our mission, and our UU principles, we hope you will find a home here. And Ned will read our benediction by Wendell Berry.
The love and the work of friends and lovers belong to the task and are its health. Rest and rejoicing belong to the task and are its grace. Let tomorrow come tomorrow. Not by your will is the house carried through the night. And now we extinguish our chalice, saying together the words I think most of you know. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing song is Simon and Garfunkel's 59th Street Bridge song, and I invite you to enter into that joyfully. And you want to play it through once, or we'll just, we probably all know it.
we all know it.
Great. So if you could sit or stand, whatever your preference would be. You got the name with clouds, digging down, looking for fun. Groovy. I come once, ain't you got that rhymes for me? Don't you groovy. You got no needs to do. I'm old and drowsy and ready to sleep. And the morning time brought all this terrible to me. Life was lovely, always for me.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Eva, you did a great job. Tina, thank. Hi. How are you, Luca?